the greatest integer function. This is what the equation looks like. Notice these are brackets. They're not absolute value signs, symbols. So this is not absolute value. This is greatest integer function. And you could take these brackets as implying that there's some instructions. The instructions are the following. You look at this number and you go look for the greatest integer less than or equal to that number that's going to take the place of the x. So if f of x equals greatest integer function for 1.2, you look at this number and what's the integer that comes right next to it on the left. On the left of this number means on the number line, that means less than. So what's the greatest integer less than or equal to this number? Well, if this was an integer, you just keep it. But if it's not an integer, you take the number on the number line that came before this one. That would be a 1. Coming before this one means it's less than this one. So the greatest integer less than or equal to x. F of x equals the greatest integer function of 3. Since this is an integer, you keep it. F of negative 3.3, the greatest integer function for that would be the number on the number line that comes before this one. Since this is a decimal number, you take the number, the integer that came right before this number. That would be negative 8. It would like us to graph the greatest integer function, and this is the graph they want. You have one of two ways. You could draw a table, pick some points, plot the points, and you'll get this graph. Or graph the parent graph. The parent graph is the one that hasn't been altered. Notice this one already has a -1 tagging along. This one is just a plain old greatest integer function for x. That's the parent graph. The one that hasn't been altered, doesn't have numbers around it. It looks like this. The easiest way to remember this graph is start off with this one. This is the easiest step. This is like a step function, a floor function, they call it sometimes. It looks like a staircase. Draw this one first. So it'll be solid, go over 1, open, go up 1, solid, go over 1, open, go up 1, solid, go over 1, open. Keep doing that and you get this graph. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take that graph and we're going to alter it a little bit since there's a -1 tagging along. So how would that -1 affect the graph? Well, the table, you plot the points, will tell you the following. The result will tell you the following. When you're adding or subtracting and you're within the greatest integer function, you do the opposite. So this seems like it would shift the whole graph 1 unit to the left, but actually it's going to shift it 1 unit to the right. Shift the whole graph 1 unit to the right. So you take the graph we had and just shift each one of those segments to the right 1. So this one used to start here at the origin, but it was shifted over 1. This one used to be over here, but it was shifted over 1. So just shift all of them over 1, and this would be the graph.